I once believed that money was merely printed paper, stored in banks, counted in figures, and secured through hard work. But then, unexpectedly, a question gently yet powerfully surfaced in my mind. If money is truly material, why do some people who exert minimal effort possess more than enough, while others toil their entire lives and still face financial struggles? This question didn't demand an immediate answer. Instead, it opened a doorway to a higher realm of awareness. There, I came to understand that money isn't material, it's energy. And when you truly grasp that money is energy, every outdated definition you once held begins to collapse. Money doesn't stem from the work you do. It emanates from who you are when you do it. It doesn't respond to the efforts you display outwardly, but to the frequency you silently emit from within. Money doesn't heed the words you speak, but it clearly understands the vibration you're living in. Imagine this. If life is a piece of music, then money is a note that only resonates when you truly harmonize with the melody of abundance. It doesn't chase you, nor does it hide from you. It's simply seeking someone who knows how to tune in. And if you're here, reading these words, then perhaps, just as I once did, you're beginning to remember something ancient that your soul has always known. That prosperity isn't a goal to achieve, but a state that has always existed within you. Just as a flower doesn't need to learn how to bloom because blooming is its nature, you don't need to learn how to become wealthy. You only need to remember your inherent nature of abundance. Let me share the first story, a tale about Eleanor, a woman who sold herbs in a bustling market long ago. Every morning, she would meticulously count the coins she earned, believing that wealth was as tangible as the metal pieces in her hands. Until one morning, a mysterious traveler appeared and said, "I don't sell anything you can touch, but I sell everything you can imagine." That sentence struck Eleanor's consciousness like lightning. She began to see the coins in her hands, not as tangible objects, but as vessels containing an invisible current of energy. From that day forward, her small shop didn't change in physical form, but within her, everything transformed. Her mind no longer fixated on lack, but began to resonate with abundance. And then, without additional effort, more customers came, and money flowed in as naturally as water, simply because she no longer lived in the vibration of scarcity. You know, I was once like Harold, a humble mailman with a modest salary. He possessed no material wealth, at least not by the standards of a bank statement. Yet within his soul, Harold lived as someone who had everything he needed. He found richness in the morning sun, in the laughter of children, and in the gentle breeze that accompanied his walks. Your living frequency, you'll start to notice something miraculous. The stress associated with money will begin to dissipate. You'll stop feeling anxious every time you spend. Envy toward the wealthy will fade, and any shame about your financial state will diminish. Instead, you'll sense money coming to you in its own way, in harmony with the universe. Real wealth doesn't come from outside sources. It springs from the state of your inner world. I used to live as though water would flow only if I worked hard enough, got everything right, and stayed in control. But now I know wealth is like water from a well. It responds not to effort, but to emotion. When you feel trust, ease, and thankfulness, you open a path and money flows in, just like water finds the smallest crack. But when you're tight, fearful, or forcing things, the gate shuts. No matter how many chances exist outside, your inner world remains dry. Think of Walter, a merchant from the valley. He spent his life accumulating and guarding his wealth, counting every coin and building walls to protect it. But the harder he tried to hold on, the faster money slipped away like water through a closed fist. Only when illness left him weak, when he had to trust others and let go, did everything change. The business he feared losing began to thrive under the care of those he once distrusted. The more he released control, the more abundance returned. I'm not saying you should give up control completely. What I've learned is that true control is more subtle. It's about managing the energy you send out each day. You can cling to your financial plans tightly, but if your mind is filled with fear, you're sending a signal that says, I don't believe money will come. And the universe doesn't judge or sympathize, it simply reflects what you emit. It doesn't respond to what you hope for. It responds to what you deeply believe. What I've learned is this: building wealth doesn't demand more action. It asks for a different feeling. When you see the world through the lens of someone who already has enough, you send a message of expansion. And that is what money answers. When you feel genuine gratitude for something as small as a cup of coffee, a breeze on your face, or the embrace of someone you love, you're already living in the stream of abundance, not waiting for it to begin. Just pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what frequency am I living in right now? Do you feel light, calm, and trusting that things are unfolding as they should? Or are you unintentionally pushing prosperity away with anxiety, comparison, or fear? The stream of abundance is always flowing, like an ancient river just beneath your awareness. You only have to look within to find it. There's a practice I return to daily, something you might like to try. I picture myself standing next to a river of golden light. I breathe deeply, imagining each inhale as a stream of money, a wave of energy flowing toward me. I don't clutch at it. I don't ask how much. I just allow it to move through me, like air, like light, like life itself. Because you are not someone chasing after money. You are the river that money naturally wants to flow into. And like any river, it only needs one thing: a clear path. The current must be free from the boulders of fear, doubt, and control. When you release those, there's nothing more you need to do. The water will flow. Maybe you've spent years believing that money comes only from hard work. But today, I invite you to embrace a new truth. Wealth flows from alignment. It rises from the emotions you choose each morning, the openness you carry each day, and the moment you stop asking, how do I get more money? And start asking, am I aligned with the energy of abundance? That shift is the first and perhaps the most vital step to reconnect with the ancient current. The current that's always been constantly worries about money is broadcasting, I don't have enough. And the universe, like a faithful mirror, doesn't ask if you really want scarcity. It simply reflects what you emit. More bills, more roadblocks, more lack. But when you begin to think with the feeling, I am moving toward abundance, then that same energy begins to rearrange the world around you in ways you never imagined. I remember a man named Eugene, a grocery store owner in an old town market. He used to say things like, customers are few, business is slow, I'm not sure how long I can keep this going. And over time it became true. Customers stopped coming, bills piled up, not because Eugene wasn't capable, but because he was living as if every door was already closed, and so the universe left them closed. Everything shifted when a friend, someone who understood the power of words, urged Eugene to try something new. Though doubtful at first, Eugene began changing the way he spoke. He said things like, my ideal customers are on their way. Money is coming from unexpected places. I deserve success. Nothing happened immediately. But after a few weeks, something surprising occurred. A visiting investor fell in love with Eugene's unique product and offered to help grow the brand. From that moment, customers returned, opportunities opened. But the real change was within Eugene himself. His internal frequency had transformed. I share these stories not to tell you that repeating a few affirmations will instantly change everything, but to remind you that change always begins at the level of energy. When your inner world shifts, your outer world starts to follow. No, I'm sharing this because I want you to deeply understand every word you speak and every thought you hold sends out a vibration. And it's that very vibration, not your salary, not the stock market, that shapes your financial reality. Imagine your mind as a broadcasting tower. If you're constantly sending out signals of lack, scarcity, and survival mode, then you'll draw in more of those exact experiences. But when you shift your signal to one of possibility until someone stops and says, "Enough." I don't know what money beliefs you're carrying, but I do know this. If you've never questioned them, you're probably living inside someone else's financial mindset. Maybe it's your family's, maybe it's your community's, maybe it's a culture rooted in survival, where dreaming too big feels dangerous. But not everything that's been repeated is true. Some beliefs may have been true in the context of past generations, but they don't belong to you. You are living in a different time with a different mind. I once met Frank, a master shoemaker whose craftsmanship was remarkable. Every pair he made was like art, but over time his customers faded away. Though his skills never declined, his prosperity did. Each night he sat by an oil lamp, repeating the words his father once told him, "Nothing comes easy. To survive, you must suffer." He believed them as deeply as he believed in the rising sun. And it was that belief, not the economy, not his work, that quietly suffocated his growth. Frank wasn't struggling because he lacked talent. He struggled because he was living by a financial blueprint handed down through generations, never once updated, never once examined. Ask yourself this: how many of your beliefs around money did you actually choose?